So let's all be honest, things in the USA have been crappy since the day Joe Biden took office. Included on that list, air travel, delays, cancellations, diversions, near-miss collisions, and even mother effers on planes who aren't real. Those are just some of the nightmarish things that Mayor Pete Buttigieg has yet to really tackle. But this next story, well, I can't even blame this one on Mayor Pete. A Delta Airlines flight from Atlanta to Barcelona, Spain was forced to turn back around after a passenger had explosive diarrhea that was so bad it was labeled a biohazard. Yes, someone literally crapped a plane right out of the sky. Now, had this rhea been confined to the lavatory, all could have been salvaged, but no, by all accounts, this rhea was an all-encompassing rhea and was spread through the aisles of the plane, hence why it was a biohazard. So I'm not really sure why someone with explosive diarrhea would chance getting on an 8+ hour flight, but that's a loser move for sure. Also, this person has yet to be identified, but I'm sure will be on a short list for the witness protection program because there's just really no coming back from something like that. Sir, ma'am, they, them, whatever, change your name, change your city, state, and country of residence, and fast. I'm also not sure how Delta is going to compensate the other passengers aboard the porta potty of the skies, but I would demand reparations, and a lot of them. But moving on to another avoidable tragedy, a gender reveal stunt that left one person dead. Yes, dead. So this happened in Mexico last weekend. After dropping pink smoke over the couple to reveal their baby's gender, the pilot then crashed the small plane and died, and it was all caught on video. And what's worse, after the crash, the couple seemingly carried on as if nothing happened. Now, this isn't the first time a stupid gender reveal celebration has caused carnage and destruction. In 2017, a gender reveal in Arizona resulted in a forest fire that burned over 47,000 acres. In 2019, an Iowa gender reveal involving a makeshift pipe bomb of sorts ended up exploding and killing a grandmother standing nearby. You know, these freaking gender reveals have gotten way out of hand. They're stupid and honestly, in my opinion, just another narcissistic way for couples to make a scene and a spectacle. I also blame social media for making this gender reveal event a trend and a thing. Annoying and in some cases, deadly. Worth it? I think not. But speaking of babies, on to my final loser of the week, Joe Biden, who is apparently upset his staff treats him like a baby.
Karine, President Biden is the oldest president in U.S. history. Why does White House staff treat him like a baby?
No one treats the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, like a baby.
So there's this quote that says,
that's ridiculous.
When staff walked back
claim.
What sounded like a call for regime change in Russia, the president, quote, rather than owning his failure, he fumed to friends about how he was treated like a toddler. Was John Kennedy ever babied like that?
Joe Biden is a baby and he needs babysitting for obvious reasons. In fact, I hope the White House is baby-proofed and I hope someone has put a child protection seal on our nuclear arsenal as well. There's a good reason they keep Joe in the basement in bubble wrap. God save the Queen. Those are my losers of the week. But shifting focus now to a more serious topic, 2024. It can't come soon enough and we need to win. But can we? Does the GOP have enough broad and grassroots support to win a modern-day general election? And whoever our nominee ends up being, can they count on peeling off even a small percentage of the black vote? Well, my next guest says no, and he's here to tell me why. Joining me now is political commentator Rob Smith. Rob, thank you so much for joining me. I was excited to have you on. Obviously, I've seen the social media controversy after you, and I think rightly pointed out that although it's great to strive to get the black vote in 2024, it's not going to be some big change maker, something significant. Tell me why you think that and what you think of the backlash you got for saying it.
Okay, so there was all this conversation that was going on where I saw people saying that, Republicans and Trump in particular are going to get 30 to 40% of the black vote. And this is so exciting. Look at these social media videos. Look at these MAGA rappers. Look at all of this stuff. And so when I saw this stuff, Tommy, I said, we were saying this 5 years ago. Okay, so I became prominent and got my platform and all that stuff and became a conservative influencer, I guess, if you want to call it, about 5 years ago. And I was on the campaign trail for Trump. We were really trying to turn the black vote out. We were really trying to do a lot of different things. And honestly, the Republicans and Trump were doing a lot for this vote as well. He put out the Platinum Plan. He had achieved the lowest black unemployment in history. These were very tangible things. But the problem is that black voters just did not show up in 2020. They went from 8% of the black vote in 2016 to about 11% of it in 2020. And after that happened in 2020, after African Americans did not show up, the infrastructure that was kind of built up to support this effort kind of disappeared, right? So all the Blacks for Trump centers disappeared. All of this heat sort of died down. And then Trump started dealing with the legal stuff and everybody was talking about election integrity, et cetera, et cetera. So I just don't buy that right now. All of a sudden, there's going to be this 30 to 40% that's going to come up in 2024 when the infrastructure just isn't there. And so my question to the GOP and the RNC is that George W. Bush got 20% of the black vote in 2004. We're headed into 2024, right? So that was 20 years ago. And so what happened in those 20 years? So the infrastructure is not there. The outreach is not there. The media plays are not there. And so I just don't want people to kind of get scammed. I don't want people to feel some false sense of security and to expect something that I don't think the infrastructure is there to support.
And beyond that, I think that a lot of Republicans have a false sense of security anyway. I don't think that a lot of Republicans who just exist primarily on social media and especially Twitter, I don't think that they understand what it's like on the ground. They think that Donald Trump is going to have some amazing victory, even though the polls are really not saying that. They think, oh my goodness, this time everyone sees what they're doing to him. They're going to come out. They're going to vote for him. I think that exists on social media, but I don't think that that exists across America. So I think that there is this confidence, this bravado that all of a sudden Trump's just going to come in and he's going to win from the jail cell. I don't think that even beyond just the black vote, I don't think that's as probable as a lot of my fellow Republicans believe. Are you in the same boat as me on that?
Well, I am on the same boat as you, Tommy, and this is about being a realist. And to me, and I've said this over again, and I feel like I have to say this every time I say something even slightly critical about Donald Trump. This is not about an individual candidate. Okay, if Donald Trump is a nominee, I will vote for Donald Trump because it's either Donald Trump or communism. I've said that a million times, but we have to be real about what's going on. And I think that this kind of echo chamber that exists on Twitter among the terminally online is really not reflective of real life. And so again, I don't want people to get lulled into some false sense of security. And if you want to talk about election integrity, we can talk about that stuff. But the bottom line is this: if there are no real efforts that are coming from Trump world or that are coming from the RNC or the GOP or anything like that to sort of fortify election integrity, my fear is that people are going to be expecting something that is just not realistic. And that if it doesn't happen, then we're going to go back to not trusting elections again. And I believe that there was some fraud in that election? Absolutely. But I've never believed that it was enough to overturn the total election, right? And so Tommy, we've both been around for a while. And I think that when you have a platform, like mine's or like yours, which is larger, or like a lot of the other conservative influencers, if you want to call it that, I think we have the responsibility to tell people the truth and not to, lull people into a false sense of security or to sell them fairy tales.
Yeah, what I think is odd is that every time that I say something in the vein of realism about 2024 and about Trump's general election chances, I'm called a grifter and I'm called disloyal, and they tell me that, I'm shilling for a paycheck. And in my mind, it's actually the opposite. It would be much easier for me to sit here and say, Trump, 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 MAGA, I'm Trump, I'm on board, 100% loyal. It would be easier for me to do that. My grift would probably be stronger if I did that. But I, like you, feel like I have a responsibility to my country to be honest about what I see happening in 2024. I'm not okay with losing in 2024 and then just bitching for 4 years that it was stolen. That's not going to do it for me. But I want to ask you about another point, too, because I think this is important. I wonder if you find this condescending at all. After the mugshot, there was a lot of talk amongst conservatives on Twitter and social media that mugshot was going to make Black America vote for Donald Trump, that somehow him being in the legal system and him having a mugshot, that was going to do the trick. I found that a little bit condescending to the Black vote and the Black community. What was your take on that narrative?
I mean, I guess, Tommy, I've got pretty thick skin. Like, I don't really get sort of riled up by much. What I saw it as is I saw it as this sort of kind of like illiterate attempt to be kind of culturally relevant, to say, oh my God, all these Black people from the hood are going to see this mugshot. And then, Donald Trump is a gangster and all that. And I saw some of the memes, and like the memes are funny. Like, the memes are funny, the memes are cultural and all that. So I think that conversation is honestly like, that's kind of like a different version of the conversation that happened 5 years ago. And I think that a lot of people in our movement, they're so, I think, thirsty for some sort of cultural relevance. Remember when there was all these rappers that were like, yeah, we're for Trump, we're for Trump, we're for Trump. And there's some people that think that these people speak for the quote unquote Black community. And look, like the Black community, like the Hispanic community, like the white community, et cetera, et cetera. Like, these are millions of people that have lots of different points of view. Not every Black person's from the hood,
Right.
Not every Black person is from, the Ivy Leagues, like the Obamas of the world. Okay. So I think the point is that we have a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds that constitute whatever it is that people want to call the Black community. I didn't personally take offense to it. I just thought it was a little tone deaf. And I thought that it was kind of like an easy way to push an idea that there was going to be this increase in the Black vote, when, like I said, and that's the point that I've been hitting over and over again on Twitter, no infrastructure has been put in place in order to make that happen.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think the criticism you've been getting is unwarranted and quite frankly stupid. I saw some of the back and forth there, some of the Twitter feuding with Dan Bongino and others.
Yeah.
You got to tell me what all of that was about. I saw it, I saw the videos, but I really don't understand why he came so hard for you. And I don't understand where this feud ignited. It seems silly to me. I don't think that you're the one that started it. And I think that you were simply responding to, his attacks. But tell me what went on there.
Yeah, I went on Bongino's show yesterday and actually posted on my Twitter the conversation we had, which is actually a very interesting conversation about the Black vote and all that other stuff. So this is what happens on social media. And Tommy, you've trended before, you've gotten into these scuffles before. This is what happens. I got a lot of criticism from, a lot of lower level Black conservatives on Twitter that had a problem with what I said about this sort of fairy tale that Republicans are going to get 30 to 40% of the Black vote. And one of these people had tagged me in something that Bongino was saying on either it was his podcast, because I think his podcast is video. And so I'm thinking that that Dan was responding to me. So I said, okay, I'm not going to respond to any of these lower level people, but I'll respond to Dan Bongino. The guy's got a huge platform. So I made my video. He DM'd me to come on the show. I legitimately did not see the DM. He said that I was lying about seeing the DM, and it just got super aggressive. And so what happened was Bongino DM'd his cell phone to me. I was at a conference at the time. And so I called him. We talked it up via phone. And then I came on his show yesterday and we kind of like cleared all that up. That was the first time for me, by the way, that I've really gotten into something with another influence or whatever. I tend to kind of stay away from those things because I'm military. In the military, we used to have a term that say it's not mission focused, right? So it's not mission focused for me to be in a scuffle with somebody that agrees with 90% of the things that I agree on, which is why I generally don't go into those things. But I'm kind of glad it happened. I'm glad we cleared it up, and I'm glad that we were able to have that conversation on Bongino's show yesterday, which I put on my Twitter. And I think that cleared a lot of that stuff up.
Well, it's good. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm glad that you're speaking the truth. I don't want to go into 2024 with blinders on thinking that everything's going to be peachy. I think one of the reasons Trump was victorious in 2016 is because he was actually really underestimated and nobody thought he had a chance, but he put in the work to get the forgotten American, the everyday American. He showed up. I'm a little disappointed at his ability to show up at this point. I don't think you can run on indictments and poor me, but that's just my perspective. So I appreciate you speaking the truth, especially on social media where it's so needed. God bless you, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you soon, Tommy.